So one of the tricks to get lots of people to watch your videos on YouTube is to, in the thumbnail or in the video, put a scantily clad woman that has no relationship whatsoever to the subject you're talking about or showing. I'm not going to do that. But whenever I do videos that include part of my life when I'm here in Italy, the Italy part actually tends to be more exciting than whatever I'm talking about. I'm okay with that. So I thought, why don't I just do this video? I can say the same thing here out where it's beautiful as I can, sitting in front of some speakers. So I'm taking a little break while I'm out taking a walk, and I want to talk about something that I've been wrestling with a bit on some recent mix projects. And that is the main problem I see often with minimalist drum miking. So by minimalist drum miking, basically we're talking about using as few microphones as possible. And I actually love this because it's kind of fun, but also the less microphones you have, the less phase interaction you have between microphones. So if you get it right, the sounds can actually be big, full, and punchy, and sit really well in the mix with the other elements. But a lot of people do it and don't get it right. So a lot of people might be excited about, oh yeah, I saw a cool thing online about how Glenn Johns did this, or the Beatles did this, or Led Zeppelin did this, as a way to mic up and be inspired to do it themselves. Well, that's really cool. But a lot of people do it and don't take the time to do it right. And that can be really problematic when it comes to the mixing. Because the thing is here with minimal miking, using as few mics as possible, it has benefits, but it also takes away a lot of flexibility you have in mix time. And the most important thing, and the thing that most people screw up, is they don't understand that with the minimal miking, your mixing is done by mic placement and performance. So a lot of people just kind of put up mics because they saw on the internet, that's what Glenn Johns' technique is supposed to be, or this is what I saw in a picture of John Bonham. Well, the problem is, if you don't get it right, you're really in a tough position come mix time. So for example, if we use minimalist miking to record a drum set and our overheads, so we've got just overheads but no tom mics, no hi-hat, no ride. Very cool. I've made some records I love that way. But if you've got a situation where your, say for example, a crash ride is close to the mics, you might get a cool drum sound and all of a sudden the drummer moves over to the crash ride and those microphones all of a sudden become just crash ride mics. Of course you say, well, you can just turn it down, but with a minimalist miking approach, your whole drum set tends to be related to those overheads. So they define the sound of your snare drum, they define the sound of your toms, they define the sound of the other cymbals. So if we have to turn that down just to make the crash ride not take our head off, well, all of a sudden we've dramatically changed our snare sound, or if the drummer is keeping time with the hi-hat. What you need to do is you need to use mic placement to mix your record while you're doing it. And so moving them around so that there's a good balance, but also just as important is you need to make sure that the drummer is going to help you mix. Because a great drummer, knowing that you're doing a minimalist approach, will be able to listen to his or her drum track and go, the snare drum's really overpowering the cymbals. They can come back and play the snare drum a little bit softer. Or they're not liking the balance of different elements. They can, play the hi-hat louder or play the ride softer to get that going. So the super important thing is you cannot just forget about doing this important work of getting the mics in the right place and getting the performance. So I did a kind of a punk record a while back that I mixed. Three mics on the drums, no snare drum. The drummer just bashed cymbals really, really hard and played the snare drum kind of soft. And the truth is, there wasn't really much I could do to make it a really great sounding record. I mean, the band was still happy. It came out kind of cool. But because there was no snare drum and the overheads were all cymbals, we had no real punch and impact on the snare. It was even worse because what snare was there was ringy with a lot of resonance. So great band, but I certainly don't show that record off to people. So that's the super important thing. When you're doing minimalist miking, it's awesome. spend some time to do it. But you have to remember that with minimalist miking, you should be able to just push up whatever mics you have and listen to it and go, yeah, that's a good drum sound. Because if you can't, you're not ready to press record. You have to go in and get those balances right. And then of course in mixing, we can use EQ, reverb, compression to enhance that. But if we don't start with a really cool sound at the beginning, then we're actually in a really bad place overall. And one more thing, here's our cathedral. If you're into this drum recording stuff, I actually made a drum recording course, 12-hour online drum recording course where we get into this in a lot of detail. And it's called Drum Recording Bootcamp. You can go to drumrecordingbootcamp.com and check it out. And it's been out a few years now, but it's all still relevant. And I almost always have it on some kind of sale. So if you're into this stuff, go to drumrecordingbootcamp.com and check it out. Until then, ciao from Le Marche.